Hello, good morning. As I referred to at the end of my last video, I've come out to a local picnic bench I've used many times before, and I'll tell you my plans for my summer cycling tour this year. It's 2026. I'm going on a pilgrimage to East Anglia. I've actually fallen in love with Norfolk and Suffolk the last few years, and at the end of my last cycle tour I was thinking I need a reason to go back over there really. What can it be? I was thinking of the Pedlar's Way, or maybe looking at some Roman roads or some form of history. And even in November I was still scratching my head a little bit, wondering what to do. And then I watched a John Betjeman programme from 1974 on the BBC iPlayer called Passion for Churches. And he was exploring churches in Norfolk, and it was during that programme he referred to an Easter pilgrimage to Walsingham, and I thought, oh, where's that? Quickly looked it up on the map, and then I started reading more about it. Then all of a sudden, it must have been the Facebook algorithm, you know how it tracks and monitors what you're doing and looking for online. This book came up called Norfolk Pilgrimages by Andy Bull. I thought that's a bit of a coincidence, but I thought I'll take a punt. I went to my local bookshop, Harry, who seems to be able to get anything, no matter how obscure or out of print it is, at a good price as well. Great service. And he got me a copy of that book, and that was it. I just thought, yes, that's what I want to do. So I'm going to have this coffee, and I'll tell you a little bit about the route, how I'm going to get there, how I'm going to get back, and at what stage of the planning I'm at the moment, because I'm not completely finished yet. I'm still in the kind of the creating stage. I'll edit it and tidy it up as the months go by. Came out to cook some sausage baps, and I just realised that I've left the baps at home. I've got the sausages, I've got the kitchen sink literally, so it's just going to be sausages which I'm going to fry. I've got some ketchup to go with it, so I'm just going to prick these sausages. I've got a plate luckily, so I can just eat sausages on the plate rather than a sausage bap. Got some olive oil spray. Well, you may hear the burst of the stove going and sizzling of the sausages and the smoke coming off. But I can assure you the smell is absolutely fantastic. How's that then? Alfresco sausages with ketchup, outdoors, early February. I'll eat these and then I'll tell you a little bit more about East Anglia in June. Well, despite forgetting the rolls, those sausages tasted fantastic. It's so nice having an early week in early February, early outdoor little snack. So this is the book. It's called Norfolk's Pilgrim Routes, A History of Paths, Places and People. It's by Andy Bull. And the moment I opened it up, I just knew, yes, this is what I wanted, and it inspired me. First of all, I'm a kind of visual person. I just need to know where places are. It's no good just giving me names of places. I need to be able to sort of kind of spatially place them. So the map at first may look a little bit complex, but the coloured lines are of 12 pilgrimage routes. And there's Walsingham there, which I didn't realise was a major place of pilgrimage, not just in the UK but worldwide. I think it's fourth after Jerusalem, Rome and Santiago, until pilgrimage was banned by Henry VIII. And I just instantly knew I wanted to make sense of these routes, and it would be a perfect way to explore inland as well as the coastal areas, which I've come to really love. A bit that I really enjoyed last year was the train journey from Great Yarmouth across to Norwich. It was just a local train trip, and it went across these levels there which reminded me of the Somerset levels, and I just thought I must come back sometime and explore that. And that's will be the first of the pilgrimage routes actually. Straight away when I looked at these grey areas, the big cities, they seem to be hubs, didn't they? And they're also transport hubs. They've got train stations: Norwich, Great Yarmouth, King's Lynn. The plan is I'm going to get a train to Norwich, spend the first night in a travelodge, try and get there early-ish because there's a pilgrim route around Norwich itself. So Norwich seems a really good place to start because I can get the train there, spend the night in a travelodge and start my tour over to the coast the next morning across that area that I really want to explore in depth. And also from the John Betjeman film, he says about Norwich, and I quote, "Norwich has more medieval churches within its walls than London, Bristol and York put together." And that's at 10 minutes 13 seconds in that film. So this is just the overview map, but inside you'll get given all the details for the routes and lots of inspiring photographs. I'll go through some of those shortly. So route number 6 is the Norwich Pilgrim Trail. So either the afternoon I get there after I've checked into the Travelodge and left my bike secure in the room, or even the next morning before I set off, I really want to go and have a look at that Pilgrim Trail. The first part of the cycle tour will be Norwich to Great Yarmouth. So in the book, the route goes from Great Yarmouth to Norwich, but obviously you can do it whichever direction you want. As a companion to the book, there's also a website with all these routes, there they are, 12 of them up there, that you can download in GPS files, GPX routes, which I've done. And what I've done is transpose those onto Ride the GPS, and that tells me what's rideable and what I cannot ride, which ones are strictly footpaths. I'll have to find alternatives. So that's what I've been doing on wet rainy afternoons on my Chromebook. I've been sat there working out all these routes, what I can ride, what I might be able to ride and what I definitely can't. But this first route, for instance, this is route 10, Norwich to Great Yarmouth, and there's even a ferry across there. There's a picture of it on page 67. You can imagine this is in the heart of the Norfolk Broads, and once upon a time there were lots of ferries. They've gradually disappeared, but this one here, Reedham Ferry, is a rare survivor of the many ferries once found on the Norfolk Broads. So that's part way through that first route from Norwich across to Great Yarmouth. And I loved Great Yarmouth last year. I finished my tour there and spent the last morning there before I got the train home. I loved that, so I really want to go back. And then the second part will be route 8 from Great Yarmouth to Walsingham, right the way through the middle of the county. And that's what I want to explore, as well as the coast. I want to start exploring inland. It lists all the churches in the routes, either in the book or on the GPS. You can track them all. So that's the hub of the tour really, Walsingham. The ancient place of pilgrimage, which after 500 years is starting to be travelled to again by pilgrims. The third part of the trip will be Walsingham across to Hunstanton. That's a lovely place. That's just fantastic along that bit of coast. It's listed the other way round, but like any A to B route, you can just reverse them, can't you? And that'll take me to the edge of the Standringham estate, and I rode through there once before. Then I'll make my way down to King's Lynn, and as in Norwich, there's a pilgrimage trail around King's Lynn. That'll be my final destination and my place where I get the train home from, but it won't be the end of the tour. And then I'll do that dog leg out. I think there's a river crossing there actually, ferry, and back to King's Lynn, finishing with the pilgrim trail. I've stayed in the Travelodge there before. I spent the last night of my pillbox tour there several years back, so I know where it is. I know it's really close to the railway station, and I know when you get there, there's a really good restaurant right next door to it with a bar. So I'll be starting there, finishing there. I just think this will meet so many of my needs and my wants. It takes me back to an area that I've come to love. It allows me to explore some routes and get inland a little bit off the beaten track. It's not all going to work, so I'll have to adapt on the route. I know that for a fact. Some of the route will be rideable, other bits I'm just going to have to detour around. I can plan so much, but until you get there you don't know for sure. Then there's a lovely little bit of coast along there, down to King's Lynn, then the final dogleg, and then the two cities of Norwich and King's Lynn, the start and the finish point of their tour. They've both got pilgrim trails, which once I've checked into Travelodge, I can just spend the afternoon or an evening walking around those. And the other thing is, I just cannot ride mindless miles these days. There's got to be some kind of theme or purpose. It just gives it such another dimension, many dimensions. And then finally, I like planning my routes. I just don't want to become part of the treadmill on some route that's organised by the CTC or whatever they call themselves these days. I want to do something a little bit more individual. So that's the plans. That's the positive bit. The bit I'm a little bit unsure about is I avoided it for many years, is taking my bike through London on the train network. Last year I did it on the way back from Great Yarmouth to Norwich, then Norwich down to the outskirts of London. Then I got on the Elizabeth line, which took me round to Paddington, and it all went fine. The only problem I had was working out how to get from the lower level of Paddington to the upper level. Luckily, another passenger actually helped me, and this lady, because she was confused as well. The staff weren't that helpful, so I've got to do that in reverse on the way there and also on the way back. So I'm a little bit nervous about that, but it's not going to stop me going, that's for sure. So Andy Bull really has put some fantastic, inspiring photos in the book. As soon as I opened it up, I just knew I've got to go there. I mean, for example, there's the Bure Railway Path, takes pilgrims alongside a preserved railway towards Aylsham. That must be the path there. And I love Norfolk churches, the flint and the round towers in places. There's just so many pictures inspiring here. The modern pilgrim path follows the Marriott's Way on a former railway line. I love those village signs you get in Norfolk and Suffolk. Oh look, Bircham, Sandringham, so that's near the end. St Edmund's Chapel above the cliffs at Hunstanton. Look at the layered rock face there. Just a fantastic coastline to explore. Great Yarmouth Minster and the town walls. I've seen Andy Bull interviewed on other people's videos. He's clearly an expert on the subject. He's also got a Facebook page, and he was talking about his new book, and I just contacted him and said, I've really enjoyed it. It's inspired me to go there on a cycle tour next year. This was last autumn. And he got back to me, sort of said it should be great for you. Many of the routes are actually perfect for cycling. They're old, ancient ways. You should love it. And he sort of said, do let me know how you get on. And I will, definitely. I'll give him some feedback. The book on first glance would appear to be a walker's guide. But if you think about it, pilgrimage can be, people may drive somewhere, park up, walk out and back and do a route. Maybe do a circular route. Maybe have someone pick them up, car share maybe, 2 people. Or maybe some people will walk as a pilgrimage, doing multi-day walks, stopping overnight in places, which is pretty much what I'm going to be doing on a bike. Where it is footpaths, I will not be riding, even if I have to get off and push, but footpaths are not ideal, obviously because of styles and having to decant all the panniers off the bike. I can minimise that as much as possible in the planning, but I won't eradicate it completely, which is why I will not be rushing. There will be times when I'm just going to have to take time to bypass areas. It may be a case of going up so far and having to come back and reroute around. I just don't know, but that's part of what I enjoy. I don't want it to go clinically perfect from start to finish. I quite like having to think on the road actually and problem solve, that sort of thing. It's all part of the adventure and the pilgrimage really, because that's what pilgrimage is for me really. It's a journey of exploration, adventure and just self-discovery really. Anyway, back to the real world. I've got to wipe this all up, pack it up and get it back in the panniers now. For my next video, it's going to be a night ride. I do it several times in the winter. I just ride out in the pitch black around a local circuit and I just test my GPS navigation really. I make it a very complex route And I deliberately go off route a few times actually to work out how to get back on in the dark. I used to do that when I was audaxing, and it really does pay dividends when you really do get lost in the summer. Sometimes you're under a bit of stress. I just find practicing that every now and again, in the pitch black especially. So I'm going to retry using my Sony ZV-1F, I think it is, camera. I bought it several years back and I found it really difficult to use actually. I'm going to try again, maybe persevere a bit more this time and see how I get on with it. I've found it quite complicated to use, especially compared to action cameras and even a smartphone. They're just as good and much easier to use. I'll be doing some night riding in the pitch black with a video light. Hopefully get some good shots and some night navigation. In the meantime, I really need to get moving because I sense rain is imminent. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the night ride in a couple of weeks' time. Bye for now.